Now students, here we are going to discuss laws of motion, which are Newton's first law of motions, Newton's second law of motion, and third law of motion. Now I am going to show you a very simple experiment that I think you know very well. I have taken a glass, I am putting a cardboard or simply a card and a coin. Now I am keeping this coin here. Okay, you can see this. You know you can do it at your home also. I have kept coin like this. Okay, now I am going to apply a force. What happens? The coin going inside it. Why coin is going inside it? That we will see how. We have applied a force, means the coin as well as the card which in raised, the card comes into the motion but the coin was in rest, so it tries to keep itself in the rest, and that's why it falls down inside the glass and the card went down, went in the motion. So what it represents us? It represents us that if we talk about the motion, the object both were in a state of rest, and when we have applied a force on the card moves in the direction where we have applied the force, in the direction of the force. But the coin, which we have not applied any force, which was sticked over it, which was on this, it was remain in a state of rest, and it keeps itself in a state of rest, so it falls down inside the glass. So here we can conclude with this, that if an object is in a state of rest, it will remain in a state of rest, and if an object is in motion, it will remain in a state of motion unless until an external force is applied on it. This is Newton's first law of motion. Newton's first law of motion, or it is also known as law of inertia. It is also known as law of inertia. So here we have gone through a very simple example, and we come to understand with this example that if we are having a body is in a rest, it will remain in a rest. If a body is in motion, it will remain in a motion unless until an external force is exerted upon it. This is the Newton's first law of motion. Okay. Now this law here has three parts. If we go through the first part, which we can discuss here. First part, I am taking an example with ball. If the ball is in a state of rest, what we need to do to change its state? It will require a force on it. So first part states that we can discuss it three parts. force is required, an external force is required to change its state. Now, second, if we have applied a force on it, it will roll down over the surface. Say a football ground, if we are making a kick on a football, it will roll down. It will roll down up to a long distance and it will continue to roll down. But why it is stopping? That we know that there is a force which is acting in this direction, in the opposite direction of the motion of the ball, and this force is a force of friction. So this force of friction make it stops. So here from the second part it is clear that an external force is required to decrease or increase the speed of the object or the ball which is moving on this. Now suppose if the ball is moving in this direction, say in a straight line, okay, and if you want to make its direction changed, if you want to make its direction change in this direction, so the ball itself cannot change its direction. It will require a force over here. Similarly, we can take another example of Earth and Moon. Moon is moving around the Earth, so it changes its direction. Its direction changes. When it changes its direction, it requires a force. And how it is getting a force? That force is force of attraction of Earth on the Moon. Means there is a gravitational attraction of Earth on the Moon, and because of that force, it changes its direction. Means Moon is changing its direction of the motion. So we can conclude this Newton's law of motion in three parts also. One is force which is required to change the state, which if we are keeping a ball over here, it is in rest, it will remain in a state in rest unless until we are applying a force. If we have applied a force, it is rolling down on the surface on the ground and it will stop after a long distance covered by the ball. Why it is stopping? Because there is a force which is acting in the direction opposite to the direction of motion, that is a force of friction. Means it is clear, if we want to decrease or increase the speed of the ball, what we need to have? An external force is required to keep it in a state of motion or keep it in rest. Similarly, if this ball is moving and if we want to change its direction, what we need to have? We need to apply a force. Ball cannot change itself, its direction. Or in other words, we can say, in another example, we have taken the example of Earth and Moon. Moon is moving around the. If it is moving, definitely it is moving. It changes its direction, and how it is changing its direction. The changing in the direction, it requires a force, and that force is the gravitational force of attraction which is applied by Earth on the Moon. Okay, so these three examples which we can take it for to understand the Newton's first law of motion, which we can call it as a law of inertia. Okay.